Hey guys, TinyMaths here, back with another video. In today's lesson, we'll be looking at how to multiply fractions. There's a few things you'll need to know in order for you to understand this lesson. First of all, you'd need to know how to find common factors, also how to simplify fractions, and the third thing you need to know is optional, how to do prime factorization on whole numbers. If you need to refresh your memory on how to do these, I've linked to my previous videos covering these subjects in the video description for you to watch so you can get a better understanding of today's lesson. Now, there's just one easy rule that you need to know when multiplying fractions, and that's multiply horizontally. Multiply numerators by numerators, and that becomes a new numerator, and then multiply denominators by denominators, and that becomes a new denominator. Sometimes the resulting fraction might need simplifying, or if it's an improper fraction, you'll have to convert it to a mixed number. Let's begin by looking at an example. 3 over 14 times 20 over 36. Here, multiplying horizontally, you get a new numerator, 3 times 20, that equals 60. And a new denominator, 14 times 36, now that's far from easy. It actually equals 504. Your new fraction is now 60 over 504. But you still haven't finished yet. You need to simplify the fraction, and that means finding the highest common factor of both numerator and denominator, and that's not easy either. We'll come back to this example later, but for now, let's try something easier. 2 over 4 times 6 over 7. Now horizontal multiplication is much easier. 2 times 6 equals 12 and 4 times 7 equals 28. So we get the new fraction 12 over 28, which isn't difficult to simplify at all. But actually, there's a better way to do this, which will also make the first fraction, the more difficult one we saw, easier to deal with. It involves the following two steps, which we do before multiplying horizontally. In the first step, we simplify fractions where possible, and in the second step, we use cross cancellation to eliminate any remaining shared factors. Now, there are two ways of simplifying fractions. You can either list the factors of numerator and denominator and search for the highest common factor, and then divide numerator and denominator by the highest common factor, or you can rewrite the numerator and denominator as prime factorizations and find the highest common factor that way, then divide. It doesn't matter which method you use. I've made a video explaining this, so check it out if you need to, since we won't be explaining how to find common factors in this lesson. And while you're thinking about whether you need to watch that video or not, why don't you smash the subscribe button and like the video. It will help TinyMaths videos reach more math students. Anyway, back to our alternative method. So, taking 2 over 4 times 6 over 7, for step 1, ask, can we simplify the fractions? Look at both fractions and see if they can be reduced. In 2 over 4, 2 and 4 share 2 as a common factor, so we can divide numerator and denominator by 2. 2 over 2 equals 1 and 4 over 2 equals 2. So we can simplify 2 over 4 to 1 over 2. 6 and 7 have no common factor, so 6 over 7 cannot be reduced. Now we've reduced where possible, our multiplication becomes 1 over 2 times 6 over 7. In step 2, we use cross cancellation. We ask, do the left numerator and right denominator share any factors? If they do, divide both by the highest common factor. Well, the left numerator is 1 and the right denominator is 7. They share no factor except 1. And dividing by 1 does not change a number. So 1 as a factor is never helpful to us. We cannot cross cancel. Then ask if the right numerator shares any factors with the left denominator. The right numerator is 6 and the left denominator is 2. They have a shared common factor, 2, which is the highest common factor, so we can divide both by 2. And now that leaves the right numerator as 3 and the left denominator as 1. Cleaning everything up, we get 1 over 1 times 3 over 7. We are now ready to multiply horizontally. And that's really easy because we're multiplying 3 and 7 by 1, so they don't change, and that's our final answer. So 2 over 4 times 6 over 7 equals 3 over 7. We simplified everything first, so there is no need to do it at the end. Now we've seen how this method works, let's go back to our original harder fractions and use the same process. So we had 3 over 14 times 20 over 36. For step 1, reduce fractions where possible. Starting with 3 over 14, we notice that 3 is prime, so the only useful factor of 3 is 3. But 3 is not a factor of 14, so they have no shared factors except 1, and that means there's no highest common factor. So 3 over 14 cannot be reduced. Now let's look at 20 over 36 again. Using your knowledge of common factors, you will see that the highest common factor of 20 and 36 is 4. So, dividing top and bottom by 4, we get 20 over 36 is equal to 5 over 9. Now we've reduced where possible. Our multiplication becomes 3 over 14 times 5 over 9. Now we move to step 2, cross cancellation. The left numerator is 3 and the right denominator is 9. Do they share any factors? Yes, the highest common factor of both is 3. So we can divide both by 3. So our left numerator is now 1 and the right denominator is now 3. Then look at the other two numbers. The right numerator is 5 and the left denominator is 14. Do they share any factors? 5 is prime, so 5 is the only useful factor of 5. And 5 is not a factor of 14, so they share no factors. We can't divide both by a common number. Cross cancellation is not possible. Step 2 leaves us with the multiplication 1 over 14 times 5 over 3. Now we multiply horizontally, and that gives us 5 over 42. So that's the answer to our question. 3 over 14 times 20 over 36 equals 5 over 42. That was easier than multiplying big numbers and finding highest common factor of big numbers in order to reduce at the end. Essentially, you are reducing first when your numbers are still quite small before multiplying, so that once you multiply the resulting fractions, your answer is already simplified. Why don't you try this for yourselves? Pick some fractions and remember to multiply fractions, multiply horizontally. Numerator times numerator, and that gives you a new numerator, and denominator times denominator, that gives you a new denominator. But before you do that, see if you can simplify the fractions, that's step 1, and then step 2, use cross cancellation where possible. Then you can multiply horizontally. It should make things easier. Well, that's it for this lesson. Don't forget to watch my videos on simplifying fractions and finding common factors. I'll link them here. Well, that's it for now. Take care. Until the next video.